All right. I think we're having a video now. We got pictures on us, Jim. And
I like the fact that you started with "I think."
yeah, I think, yeah. See, it's telling how many seconds is going down here at the bottom. So that's telling us we're making some type of video.
Okay.
And this is a picture of me and my dog when we lived out in the country in Stillwater.
Oh my heavens.
Yeah,
Where you were a veterinarian student.
yeah, yeah. No, I was a pre-veterinary student. We moved back in town when I got into vet school.
Okay.
So I had raised pigs out there, and I called this dog Sam after a John Wayne movie.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
What year would you say this is?
That'd been about 56.
56.
Yeah, because I got into vet school in 57.
Okay.
So,
About that time, I was spending a lot of time in Thailand.
flying missions.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Flying up to the Red River, turning fighters refueled, going into Vietnam, and we were strongly demanded that we not go across the river because it was one bullet would have shot us in an explosion at most any time if they could have gotten close to us. But they didn't. Nobody ever shot at me.
I'm glad.
Me too. Well, that's a pretty horse.
Yeah, that was, we're living on that dairy in Roswell when I was in high school.
Yes.
And the owner of the dairy, someone had given his daughter that horse, and I was the only one that rode it. So I could ride her anytime I wanted. She was a sweetheart. Tennessee Walker.
Say again?
She was a Tennessee Walker.
Oh,
Yeah. Now, that is you, isn't it?
I don't recognize it.
I don't recognize the dog,
No, I don't either.
but I don't think we had a dog like that when I was that age. I could have been, I don't know.
I don't remember ever seeing a dog that was that dark.
Yeah?
Mostly, I had a dog named Vanilla who was cream colored and ended up in a dire state. I found her later in a ditch out in the backyard or back fence someplace. I think she had gotten to the point of sucking eggs
Ah,
and she disappeared with a bullet between the eyes.
accidental death.
Yes.
And that could have been someone else's dog at someone else's house. You never know.
There's no question who that is.
Yeah, that was back in high school.
What year did you graduate?
1952.
52.
Yeah. Roswell High School. There was only high school in Roswell at that time.
Yes.
And that was,
Las Cruces?
no, that was Mom moved into a house there on the dairy farm.
Oh,
And I was in ROTC.
at
And-
high school?
Yeah, in college, Las Cruces, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was my graduation. I had two graduations.
Yes, I understand that.
I got a bachelor's in pre-veterinary science, and then I got my DVM. And I don't remember which one that was.
That looks like it was a DVM because it
Yeah.
looks like.
And I don't know who this was. You don't remember either. There was a picture of one of our grandparents, of our great-grandparents. Would have been a great-grandparent, I think.
Well, it looks a little like Muzzy.
No, couldn't be. She looks too big and stern.
But the facial side,
Yeah,
I know who that is.
that's our mother, right?
Yes.
Is that jammies or what is that?
Well, no, just relaxed clothing.
Yeah. And is that your dog Vanilla?
No,
No?
I think that's probably the house on,
That's Grandpa Weber's farm. Isn't it?
that might be.
I believe that's Grandpa Weber's farm.
Okay.
Okay.
She
I
looks
wish I
very
could.
young.
I wish I could get these photos into the video at the same time, but I don't know how to do that.
Well, don't look at me.
Okay. And that was in Roswell. And look back here. Recognize that?
Oh,
That
my
trailer?
heavens. I only saw that from the back.
And I remember buying it. It was kind of a little purse with toiletries in it, or what, for mother on Mother's Day.
Well, congratulations to
Yes,
you.
yes.
You were a good son.
I wasn't that good. But now, see, I found as I look at all the pictures of our father, I never found a picture of one where he was not wearing a necktie.
Well, that would, I think, be, because that looks like you were,
See, that was in Roswell.
yeah, that looks
Yeah.
like you were maybe first freshman or sophomore in high school.
No, he died when I was 15.
Okay,
So it could have been either junior high or high school, I think.
okay.
I remember in junior high, I got in an argument with some kid about on a playing baseball. He said, "Meet me after school." So I said, "Okay, if you want to." And so we went out, and somebody had taught me a little bit about boxing, and so we kind of boxed around there for a while, and the teacher come over. We were on the school grounds, and the teacher said, "You can't do that on the school grounds." I said, "Okay, we'll go over here off school grounds." But he said, "Okay, I've got enough." So I went home and told
You
my,
must have hit him.
yeah, I told Dad I had a fight. "Well, did you win?" "Yeah." "Okay, that's good." Kind of in line with your fight with the mule.
Well, I think I have more of him being, during this stage of my life, being quiet. And I think he was basically a quiet man.
Yeah.
His health was so bad.
Lenora told him, or he told Lenora, he said, "I felt better in Laredo than any place I lived. But I was having so much trouble with school that he wouldn't stay there.
Yes.
He left Laredo because of me."
Well, he left Austin partially because of me and
Yeah.
my mother,
Yeah,
but you've heard that story.
yeah. And I can't figure out where that picture was taken or who took
That
it.
looks to me like a cut on the road to Ruidoso.
Could be. But there's the Devil May Care Jim. And there's Wayne. Hi, guys. Oh, that one you've seen, we posted on Facebook.
Well, that's Lufkin,
That's Lufkin?
yes.
Okay. With your famous Texas suitcase. That
Yes.
was the leather suitcase. You must have finagled or done something to get that good a suitcase.
I think I bought it at the used store for $2. And there's Cheetah.
There's Cheetah, yeah. And Mom always seemed to dress me in sweaters of some kind or another. And so many of my pictures have some type of sweater on.
Well, it looks nice.
Yeah,
You're sort of dressed, but you're not heavily dressed.
yeah. Yeah. And that Cheetah just
That
loved,
was in Austin, obviously.
yeah. There's the old 42 Ford. That car ran forever.
Yes, it was a good car.
Yeah. And, pulling those trailers.
That little one-wheel trailer.
Yeah. No, the big,
Oh, the big
yeah,
trailer.
Yeah. We pulled those all over. We actually, we went out to Los Angeles from Roswell, when we first got to Roswell.
Oh,
We
is
went
that
to
right?
Los Angeles to see about living out there or buying something, buying a trailer. I think we drove out there and bought a trailer at Los Angeles and came back and went through Denver and camped at Denver, stopped at a park in Denver.
For crying out loud.
And
I don't remember that at all. Maybe
That was-
that's
that-
while I was in
that was after
school.
you went back to school. And I think you went back to school after we moved to Roswell.
Yes,
And we were in that trailer park in Denver, and I had to get up and go to the bathroom, which of course, you community bathrooms, and no trailers had bathrooms in. And so I went running out. There was snow on the ground. My feet were freezing by the time I got back in.
well, I remember Denver. Virginia and I moved up there in 1952, and we had a lot of snow.
Yeah. Now, that's got to be you.
Yes,
There's
that's
Dad.
Dad and Mom.
He's not wearing a tie there, I don't think.
No,
No.
because he's wearing bib
Oh.
overalls.
I remember Mother telling me he always kept a new pair of bib overalls to wear when he goes to town. He only wore them when he went to town.
Okay.
And he was very careful about his dressing.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Yeah. And
He had good pride.
yeah. Oh, looky there. There. No telling what age that is. That's got to be 4 or 5 for me.
Yeah, so 7 and 4 would be 11.
Yeah,
Or
11 or 12. Yeah, that looks right. I remember this gate so well, going into the yard. There was our porch right there.
Okay.
I
It
vaguely
seems
remember.
like
Huh?
that right behind me ought to be the thing that we had a hole in the ground that we would let milk and butter and things down in that hole.
That was in Grandpa Weber's farm.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't-
no,
that-
it was in our farm just outside the back door.
Okay, well, I thought it was only in Grandpa Weber's farm.
Well,
Anyhow.
there may have been one on his farm too,
Okay.
but the one that I
That was-
remember
that was
was
a
clearly
refrig-
was,
That was the refrigerator. It was a metal container that you load down and raise back up.
but that was on our farm,
Okay,
or there was one on our farm,
Okay.
and it looks like it should be just
Right
maybe
in-
right
right in-
behind you, but
okay.
between that gate and the back door, it was right there.
And that gate, for some reason, I thought, I wonder what it tastes like. It was freezing in winter. And tongue stuck to the gate, and okay, it scared me, and I yanked it off, and the tongue started bleeding. And I swear I could remember Dad smoking marijuana on that porch.
Oh, your memory there is better than mine. I do not remember
Because,
that he used marijuana.
and I think somebody said it would relax and help the
Breathing.
Uh-huh, yeah.
He had such problem with his lungs.
Yeah, and when I was in Bend, we were down at the park and said, boy, you can smell the marijuana in the park. I said, I remember smelling that at home in the front porch. Of course, memories. That's the same horse at Rossville that I was on before.
The Clardies were really good to you and
Oh.
Mom, weren't they?
Oh, they were, it was unbelievable, really. You know, she really was, they moved the trailer, set it up to where she could live right there by the scales. She did all the scales and books and they did a lot for me. They really did.
Well, I remember,
There's,
there you are with the car again.
now that was, do you remember putting a new motor in that 41 Ford?
Yes? Oh, yes.
We had a hell of a time getting that motor stabbed into the differential.
Somebody helped us. I can't remember who it was, but somebody did it for us.
Yeah,
Uh,
I really abused that car. That was new Levi's. There was one time that it didn't want to run, didn't want to start. And the choke was broken. So one guy, Johnny, he was there. I asked him to give me a push to get it started. And I got out, raised the hood, and I laid on the fender to reach in and choke the car while he was pushing, get some gas. and then I said, Johnny, quit pushing. I looked back, he was all the way back there. The car had started, I hadn't turned the key off. There I was laying on the fender with the car going down the road. It went off the side up under a barbed wire fence and ripped a pair of new jeans. I did more dipshit stuff.
Well, you remember,
Oh, looky there.
well, how crying out loud.
Was that in high school or Texas?
I think that's high school. That looks like the graduation jacket that I had.
Okay.
You know, Virginia and I came and spent the summer there in '51.
Yeah,
And then I went to work for Sherwin-Williams
yeah.
there, and they moved me back to Austin, and we lost a baby.
Yes,
We had an abortion.
yeah. And I caught a pet jackrabbit, and you took that and raised. Remember the little baby jackrabbit? Virginia took that and was raising, and I don't know, called it Cyrano or what it was she called, because long ears instead of a long nose.
The jackrabbit was a liar.
Yeah.
His nose elongated.
And then you and Virginia did my 16th birthday.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, with all the kids in my church youth group.
Okay. And didn't that summer, didn't we take you and I take the trailer and take the baler?
They took the baler up in the mountains. Yeah,
North
Yeah.
of Roswell, about
Yeah.
100 miles.
that was a disastrous trip.
The thing I remember most is how illegally I shot a antelope with that .22 rifle that we had.
And it seemed like you tagged me out, we went down there, we picked it up, threw it in the Jeep and came back. But by the time we got there to dress it out, it'd gone bad.
Yes, it was total waste. Because I was so frightened of getting caught with it that I didn't drain it
Yeah,
well.
didn't bleed it. Yeah. And the cook there, he always had jerky and biscuits if you needed something to eat.
Yes.
Made really good food. And,
Yeah, it was a good time. We had a good time together at that. I hadn't thought about that till just right at the moment.
Yeah, and that cook used to call me Conejo,
Yes,
rabbit, because I was always running, whether it was on the horse, whether it was on the Jeep, or myself.
and he didn't know that you were always running once you were driving a car.
I ran the cars the same way.
You hadn't got to that stage yet.
No, but the baler kept breaking down, you had to get parts. There. Now here again, I remember this cooler, that water jug.
Yeah, that water,
That was a Coleman. That thing went forever. It was stainless steel on the inside. But there we're camping out. He's building a campfire and wearing a necktie.
well, but he knew he was going to get his picture taken.
Well, I don't know who was there to take the picture. And
And that's an interesting place. That looks like someplace north of El Paso
yeah,
on the way to Cloudcroft or someplace.
and there's Mother. She never complained. You know, I've told people that they really loved each other.
Yes, they did. They were very affectionate.
But he could be so plain and blunt. I swear I remember she had buying a new dress and she looked, well, what do you think, Bill? Looks like a sack on a sow.
He didn't have much grace.
But she, you know, she never got mad or screamed or yelled. Yeah. And that was on the used car lot
In Roswell?
in Roswell, in the Packard car lot. Yeah. There he is, wearing a necktie. I think he worked a deal to let him park his trailer on the car lot. And right across the alley from the car lot was a
I
trailer
remember.
park. Yeah,
And he also sold trailers for the guy north of where he lived.
Yeah.
There's a little trailer sales place that he sold trailers for them as well.
yeah. But there,
But you are so right. If he had had health, he could have been a successful man.
yeah,
When they lived in Laredo, he came close to buying a bowling alley.
yeah,
They talked about that because there were so many GIs there at the air base that a bowling alley could have been really successful.
and that's when he built, right after that, he built the golf course.
Yes,
He and Mom took a trip out through California or Arizona. I don't know where all they went, but he looked at golf courses, miniature golf courses,
oh,
and got the plans and design. And then he found a motel that had used carpeting. He bought all the used carpeting to put in the, I mean, he was a wheeler dealer.
his mind was good.
Yeah, and I told David, I said, you know, my father he knew how to make deals and how to get things done.
Yes.
That ability passed over me and went to David. And and that was in Shawnee. This was Betty Thurman, Betty Weber, her mother.
That was Betty's mother?
That was Betty's mother, and that was at the Shawnee Country Club. They had a big fancy reception.
For your marriage.
Yes, yes. We got all sorts of silver services and platters and
And
Betty-
that's what
Betty-
you really needed, wasn't it?
yeah, and Betty got custody of those in the separation. And I think most of those was stolen from her. I never,
Did she ever remarry?
no. Well, she did one time, but it didn't last. I never gave my mother enough credit and respect for all that she did and all she was.
Yes, she was very interested in seeing you and me,
Yeah.
but her focus in her life was to get you through
Yeah.
vet
And,
school.
and after I got through school, at some point in time, I think she knew she had cancer, but she would not go to the doctor to get anything done till she knew I was graduated and I was on my way. And then by that time, the ovarian cancer was too far along. They did surgery and took it out, but it was already spread.
Yeah.
And Betty and I and Uncle Jim took a trip down to Albuquerque. She had been working at a girls' school and went to see her. And then shortly after that, she died. And
Well, she was back in Auburn when she died, wasn't she?
yeah, but they moved. I can't remember who. Lenora orchestrated getting her moved to Auburn.
I thought Aunt Lenora did.
Yeah, yeah. And she was in Muzzy's house. Remember that little,
Yeah.
that's gone. There's nothing there anymore. I went by there. But lots of fond memories of Muzzy's house.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
And-
was always a fun place.
Yeah, and I kidded my Uncle Jim. There'd be all the kids out raising Cain in the front yard, just, and he'd yell, "You kids settle down or I'm gonna just whoop you." And he said, "Oh, I never said that." Oh, there. High school?
That's that same jacket
Yeah,
graduation picture.
yeah. And David looked at that and he was asking about the trailer, how it was like and all. And this is, I think this was in Austin. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of remember that little box
Yeah.
out in front of the trailer in
Yeah.
Austin.
Yeah. And Butchie, my dog.
You know, I think my statement about the trailer was that it wasn't really gracious, but it was better than sleeping on the ground.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And I don't think it bothered either of us all that much.
I didn't know, there was anything different. Because we left the farm in '44 in a trailer,
Yeah,
and so I graduated in '52, and we were still living in that when I graduated from high school, out in Claudia's Dairy Farm.
yes.
So that was 8 years I lived in the trailer.
But,
Is that Mom
and a mandolin.
and a mandolin? And I don't remember.
Did you ever talk to her about not finishing high school, what she did?
No,
I didn't either.
no.
And I had the feeling that she never wanted to talk about it. It was a sad time in her life that
Yeah,
she had to go to work, and that's an old Model T.
yeah. And look at that cap. He liked those caps.
Is that Mom?
That's Mom.
She's really young there.
That must have been when they first got married. That had to be.
1924.
Yeah. That's the reason it's a Model T, Model A.
No, that's a T.
Is that a T? Yeah. Have a drink of water.
Well, I'll do that.
I hate those little, we'll get that later.
I'll get it in just a
I
minute.
hate those bottles. You know, if you, when you're, you gotta hang on it to get the lid off, and then I end up squirting the bottle, and water comes out trying to get the lid off. Makes a hell of a mess.
I've-
This, I don't recognize that face at all, do you?
Say again?
Do you know who that is?
Well, I would think it's Mom.
Could be.
It looked like an O'Hara.
That's Lenora's,
Death.
obituary, yeah. Yeah. You know, we both owed her more than we could ever pay,
Yes.
yeah. There she is. She was a very gracious lady.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. And my kids, you know, when I was going through all the problems with Betty, we could head up there and she had that little townhouse. And the kids are playing and they get out in her, she had gravel, you know, they get out playing roads and make a mess and everything. And after we left, she'd go out and straighten it all away, never complain, you know. Except if they tried to eat anything in her special living room, if you spill anything, I'll cut your heart out. And
When we used to go to visit her when she lived in assisted living, it was always so much fun because she brought all of us in there. You're gonna make them awful dizzy. But she would,
that's a picture of young Jim
yeah,
and
Laura
Laura and Laura Ann and old Jim and young Virginia.
yes. That picture I recognize.
Yeah. And I almost think that was at our house in Austin.
That's entirely possible. But finish my story, that they would all come and we'd have a scotch and water a libation before supper.
Yes.
And it was always, well, the kids are coming, we've got to go and have a drink. And we always felt, you know, at that time, we were in the 60s, that was fun to be called the kids.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that's kind of how I remember her mostly. Aunt Lenora.
Yes, no question.
Yeah, now looky there. There's your old silver.
That is clearly old silver. You know, I
And
have that,
I was glad to hear that you and Silver were friends. You really liked each other. Because he didn't like me. He would bite me or step on my feet or.
with a picture that I had on, with me
Yeah.
on silver, and it looks like you're peeing at the back of the car.
Very possibly. And you got to wear overalls. When
Yeah.
I was going to school back then, I had to wear coveralls.
Okay,
And when I finally graduated into overalls, I thought, man, I've really arrived. I didn't like the coveralls for some reason.
well, see, I went through that stage, but I had knickers.
Yeah,
And I had to wear knickers, and I thought I was doing something really great when I finally got long pants.
but I can understand with for laundry and clothing, coveralls were much more logical for a little kid.
Yeah,
You can rinse them out and hang them up. And I don't remember once how we doing bathing. You know, we had a galvanized bathtub, I think, in the kitchen to bathe in on that farmhouse. Do you remember?
no, there was we may have used, there was a place that we stored food, closet, not a closet.
Yeah, it was like a pantry.
Yeah, pantry, that's a good word that I couldn't think of. And we might have used that to stand in a tub and just wash ourselves a little bit. But mostly it was just with a washcloth.
And I don't remember, I was trying to remember bathing, and I don't remember bathing at all on the farm. I remember you had to go out to the well
Tank.
and get a bucket of water and bring it in. All the water you had to carry in by hand.
Yes,
And-
but I remember getting in the tank, and in the summertime,
Yeah,
washing off in the tank. It was about an 8-foot tank.
yeah,
I remember trying to swim in it, and I couldn't ever get anything except maybe float a little bit. And I wanted to swim in the creek, but there were so doggone many snakes down there that I was not too anxious to get in the water.
really. No, I don't remember any snakes down there at all.
Oh, I think,
And there wouldn't be any poisonous snakes down there.
well, scare you to death, scare me to death. I remember 2 episodes with snakes. One, Dad found this bull snake bound by the barn, and he could pop it like a black snake and pop its head off. And I remember I was down by the creek and I found one, and I thought, oh, I'll learn to do that. So I got it by the tail and swept it around and couldn't get it to pop, and I thought, well, I'll just run it around this tree, a small tree, and that'll pop its head off. And all that did was that I wrapped it around the tree, and with a whop, and out of it came little rabbits. Hit me right in the chest. That wasn't any fun at all.
I remember, whether it's true or not, I remember that you had a bull snake out in the barnyard in front of the house, and you were trying to pop its head off.
Well,
And
I don't think I
Mom-
ever did.
Mom come running out with a hoe. Put him down, put him down. I'll get him. And one other thing was that she told you to go out and shoot a rooster. We'll have,
Yes. I remember that story well.
and I like to say, amen, Brother Jimmy, shot a rooster and killed a hen.
The darn rooster end was right behind him.
And at one time, Mother had a phobia of having chickens in the garden.
Okay,
And of course, the yard was right part of the garden.
yes.
And there were chickens out in the front yard, out in the yard. Wayne, go chase those chickens out of the yard. So I went out there and I had some kind of floppy shoes on and a little bucket. And shoo, 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 you know. And that rooster, one of the roosters took a look at me like, what are you, and he took after me, man. I threw the bucket and dropped my shoes and made it to the house before he got me.
When we lived at the first place, we used to have geese. And there was an old goose that every time it was down toward the barn and then to the north, past the windmill, is where he kept them. And I went down there one day and that old goose chased me back to the house.
I remember we had some geese there at that last place we lived in. And if they got in the hog lot, they would just chase those pigs, they, beat them with the wings and peck at them, and the pig just squeal and run. Remember Dad killing those geese and picking the feathers and.
Well, Dad was a good butcher. He butchered hogs and beef.
Yeah.
And he was very good hand with a knife.
There was a passageway through the corn crib.
There was a passageway in the corn crib.
Yeah, and that's where he butchered the hogs. He had a, there's the corn crib right there, and it was coming through there. And
Yeah, because he had a railing up here, he could tie the
raise the hog up and dip, and he barrel with fire under it, get the water hot, and scald that hog in the water, and then scrape it.
Yes, he did both. He did both. He also butchered hogs.
Yeah.
We had, he had a couple hundred, and sometimes I think he may have had up to 250. And hogs made good money because you got the weight in 1 year was really good, and an old sow would have 8, 10 piglets, and he would have lots of hogs, and it was always easy because you'd fill up the self-feeder and you wouldn't have to do anything else for a month.
Yeah. And as I remember, there was one time that a calf or steer died, and he drug it out into the hog pen, and the hogs ate that animal.
Well, I don't doubt that. I don't remember it, but I think that would be.
So when I was living in Bend, someone called, "Is Debbie there?" "No, she died and the hogs ate her."
Well, that may be true.
One of her friends said, "What's a hog gator?"
I remember, speaking of hogs, that we had an old boar that he wanted to castrate and sell, but they decided that it was going to take 4 guys, and they got that hog in the barn and put ropes on it, and they finally did get it castrated, but it was one hell of a fight. That old hog was almost more than 2 or 3 men. I don't remember how many, but it was several guys, and they finally got it castrated, but it was a terrible fight. I imagine that hog weighed 400 pounds.
Yeah. Now I raised hogs on that farm in Stillwater.
Oh, did you?
Yes. I had I can't remember, 4 or 6 pigs that we moved from Roswell to Stillwater.
Okay.
And then one time I bought a young boar to breed those sows. I had the 6 sows. And so when we were getting ready to move in town, our next door neighbor had a slaughter room in his farm and let me use it. But I castrated that boar by myself. What your people didn't know, that what a snare is, you get around their upper jaw, and they'll just keep fight and pull back. If you get a rope on that and tie them up to post, they'll just fight back and squeal. But I could castrate him while he was standing there fighting that rope. Absolutely amazing. Knowing the psychology of hogs, if you want to load a hog onto a trailer, you put a bucket over his head, and he'll start backing up. Someone grab the tail and guide him, and you load him back him right under a trailer. Okay. Looky there, you've got that picture.
Yeah,
You and the 4 children. That was before John got here, wasn't it?
yeah. The twins are little.
Yeah.
That's in Morocco. That other one was in Morocco.
That was in Morocco?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that where you got the elephant leg umbrella stand?
No, that came from Thailand.
Thailand, okay.
I don't think Dad has a tie on there.
By darn, he doesn't. Amazing. He always wore a Stetson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a true Stetson that he wore, Calvin style. And that was a jacket that Mom bought in Old Mexico. She
Yes.
wore that,
I recognize it.
yeah. There I've got my sweater on again. And that was your high school coat.
Yes.
There's my sweater again. You got cheetah. And that was up in the mountains somewhere in New Mexico, I think.
I think so. I think Ruidoso.
Yeah. And those were some, that one, those were tulips someone brought to Joe when she was, and that's a grandnephew. And this is a friend of mine helped build the wheelchair ramp. That was his birthday dinner.
Oh, terrific.
And there was Joe. We went to church. That was her going to church dress. There it is. She looked forward to that so much. And the first time she went, she used to be a greeter at this door.
Mm-hmm. I
And,
could see her doing that.
and when we come in, she'd hug him. She says, "This is a hugging door. You got to get a hug when you come in." And the original preacher came down one time and said, "Well, I didn't get a hug." She looked at him, "Well, you didn't come in the door." And but she wasn't able to greet. But I stopped her right here by this entrance into the main auditorium, and they lined up to hug her and say hi and show their love on her.
How beautiful.
Yeah,
And she deserved that because
Yeah.
she gave it out to people all the time.
yeah. And that's the pedicure.
Oh,
It started out with 3 sisters for the 3 sisters.
okay.
And then I decided that I was having a lot of trouble trying to trim my own toenails, so I thought, it's a little expensive, but it was worth it to get a good nail trim and I was starting to get a little ingrown toenails in a couple of places. And that solved all that. This guy is married to this woman, and he remodeled our whole guest bathroom. Took it out and redid the whole thing. Really tremendous. They're Vietnamese.
Well, they're workers.
Yeah. I was getting my pedicure. And that was me with my 4 kids in Duncan, Oklahoma.
Oh, that doesn't look like you at all.
It doesn't, does it? That's what I said, but Debbie said that was me, so I said, okay. That looks like me. Trying to play cheetah. And that's 4 kids. There they are. And there's the 4 sons and the father and the mother. That was a good one. That was a way to make mosquito yard spray
Oh, my heavens.
with mouthwash, Epsom salt, and 3 stale beers. And this is our grandson up in Virginia.
Oh. Is that a knee brace?
Yeah, he had injury to the knee, and he's too smart for his own good. They're having trouble with him now. He's 16, and I don't need to study. I don't need, something you wouldn't understand. I don't need to do homework. I know all the subject. I know all this. I don't need to study. I know it all. So.
Well, I didn't have that feeling. Nobody ever asked me to study.
No. There's Joellen.
She's gotten so frail.
Yeah.
What an ordeal she
Yeah.
went through.
Yeah.
But your smile is still beautiful.
Yeah. She never lost her smile to the very last day. To the very last day. And that was at Christmas. And this was a birthday party, the last birthday, no, it was next to last. And family coming in. And this is her older sister Judy, that's her daughter-in-law, and Judy's grandson and friend of ours. There she is sitting in front of all her cars.
Well, it looks like she was having a beautiful day.
Yeah, she enjoyed whatever, And that's her baby sister, Marcia.
Okay.
That's her husband, Wayne. And Marcia and her children, 4 children. There was a television commercial by an auto dealer in Vancouver, Washington, that this guy was sitting in the car and there was a man out just raving at him, threatening him. And he was like, finally he reached down on the dash, there was a button, and above the button it said trunk monkey. He pushed that button and the trunk lid came up and this chimpanzee come walking out with a tire iron. The guy was sitting raving, he whacked him on the head, the guy just splunked like that. The guy looked back at the chimpanzee, get back in the trunk. And they went on. David found that, he saw that and he found this t-shirt, don't mess with my trunk monkey.
Don't mess with a trunk monkey. I think that's wise.
And that's my friend Mike. And that's my brother and his wife. That was after you managed to get Virginia out of the hospital and was able to go. John took those pictures.
Well, I'm trying to figure out where that is.
You're going to church.
That's a church.
Yeah,
Yeah, now I see it.
yeah,
I saw that railing over there, and
Yeah.
that's what clued me in.
yeah. And there was another one where Judy's sisters were doing the tree, Christmas tree, getting Christmas decorations up. And that was the,
Ramp you built.
yeah.
Did a good job.
Well, I was just a gopher. Mike did it all. He knew the plans. He had it all planned out. He wrote out a list of everything we needed, and I went down to the lumberyard and had them deliver it all. snow. This was trying to get her to walk at the nursing center. So I guess that's about enough for this.
Well, my backside says it's about enough for me.
Definitely, me too.